So local governments have always had an interest in populations. It may not have described it using those terms. It may have talked about communities or localities or groups or geographical wards. But the idea that there's an interest in how different people connect together and how they have a shared experience of a place or a tradition is something a local authority has always been concerned about. So from a local authority perspective, the idea of the NHS starting to consider more than the individuals is something of great interest. Because traditionally there's been a sense in local government that the NHS has been more focused on its units of delivery, such as how do we run a hospital well, or how do we run a GP practice. And those things are still of interest, but actually it doesn't help us to address underlying health inequalities and so on. From a health perspective, local government has much to bring in relation to public health management. Local governments are generally better connected within a local community. They understand the diversity of people, they understand the histories, they understand the nature of employment, of regeneration, and they can bring that to the conversations and discussions that are being had. Local government is also generally better connected within the community and the voluntary sector. And again, we know that building on the local assets is going to be an important part of the jigsaw going forward. Local governments also have that political engagement, and as well as bringing a particular knowledge of their local communities, elected members are also very powerful in this process. If a health scrutiny committee in a local government does not believe that the health transformation has been planned properly with engagement of local people, then it has got considerable powers to try and block that going forward. Local government also brings an understanding of social value and of how we can bring added benefits from the way that we use our money. And finally, although not always perfect, local government understands the principle of co-production. So not just involving people in a consultation process, but actually involving them in the overall thinking and the planning. But to achieve these synergies, we have to be realistic about the collaborative relationship between health and local government. Local government has suffered unbelievable cuts over the last decade. And whilst money is tight in the health service, it's not seen the huge austerity that local government has faced. Alongside that, there can be a sense in local government that somehow the NHS is the favoured element of the public service. If you look over the past few years, the NHS has had 3 major strategic plans, whereas local government is still waiting for that long anticipated green paper in social care. And in terms of money, once again, we see the NHS having increasing investment and local government having to undertake significant cuts. But having said that, local government, I think, has got to the point of understanding how it can cope with austerity. And what you see is an increasing confidence amongst local government, amongst directors of adult social services, that actually they're still performing an important task and they're starting to reconfigure the way that they do their approach to citizens and to people. So there's much more focus on asset-based, on having conversations with people as a starting point, rather than assessment and care planning processes to begin with. So to achieve these synergies, what do we have to do? Well, one, we have to understand these differences. We have to recognise the difference of languages, the difference of interests. How a health service will undertake a risk stratification is different to the way that a social service organisation will undertake risk stratification. The fact that somebody has multiple conditions in some ways is not of interest if the person's got a great social network, if they've got a range of community assets and their own personal resources. What's of interest is how that person is coping and how they're managing their own health and well-being. We have to recognise the financial differences and be really clear about what both parties want to achieve from this undertaking. And we also have to think about how we involve the democratically elected processes of local government. But if we address those issues, if we're honest in the way we want to go about it, then population health management could be a really exciting vehicle to bring together local government and the NHS for the benefits of individuals and their communities.